Hi everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good weekend. I wanted to give an update because it's been a little while since I've given an update. In fact, it's been since the stem cell transplant day, which was 9 days ago. So today's day plus 9. Since I've done a video. Um, so, a couple things to report. Very first thing, good news. My doctor has told me every day since my stem cell transplant day that everything is progressing exactly how she wants it to. Everything is going, in her words, beautifully. So I'm very thankful for that. Um, just a little bit ago today, she told me the exact same thing. Um, However, that doesn't mean I'm not dealing with certain issues that have happened since then. One of the things that happens when you get a stem cell transplant is just before the transplant, you're given a round of chemo. Um, and just like the rounds of chemo that I received in Hartford, it usually takes from the time you're done with the chemo treatment regimen, that cycle, if you will, it takes about a week for you to go through from quote unquote a high to a low. And that's kind of what I've been dealing with for the last 9 days. The the day after the transplant, I wound up getting pretty nauseous, pretty sick. Had a fairly severe headache in the morning. They wound up asking me to go do a CAT scan, which at this point CAT scans are like normal for me. It's kind of weird. It's like not even a big deal. It sounds probably like a big deal, but it's not. Well, at least again, I don't think so. They were just. It's usually, and the reason why is because they've been doing it as sort of like, okay, we just want to rule this out and say this isn't a thing and move forward. And usually it revolves around uh, like maybe brain blood clotting or something of that sort in my brain, and every single time has come up negative. And this was no different. So uh, just one of the things they've told me is that there are preservatives within the bag of blood that contains my stem cells to keep the stem cells viable for however long a period of time they have to stay viable. And my body receives those just as I do the blood, just as I do the stem cells. And so one of the reasons I got sick the day after, they presume, is because of those preservatives, my body trying to reject those. So, that happened. Another couple things I've been dealing with is right before the transplant, they wanted to get my blood numbers as low as they possibly could go, so that my bone marrow would accept these new stem cells. So I received a round of chemo, and just like the chemo I received, even though this one was a little different, just like the chemo I received in Hartford, it usually takes about a week to a week and a half to go to get through a low, in terms of energy, fatigue, and so forth. And that's kind of what I've been dealing with. There have been in this past 9 days, there have been days where I've woken up and I felt pretty good, and I've walked around the floor here and I've accomplished a half a mile or a mile, and then there's days I've done, you know, what really kind of amounts to nothing. 2 laps, which is, I think it's about zero point 0.1 miles or something like that. Um, those days are pretty frustrating, of course, as you can maybe imagine. But you know, I'm still moving forward with this whole thing. Uh, as kind of that kind of gets us up to now. Also, take a step back. There is one other thing. Um, I've been dealing with because of the chemo. What chemo does is it seeks out rapidly dividing cells and it kills them, no matter what the cells are. And of course, since cancer is rapidly dividing, it kills the cancer. But there are other things that are destroyed in the process. So, for example, right now, my mouth is it's not in pain per se, but it just doesn't feel well. I've got some swelling, and then of course I've lost a lot of taste for a lot of foods, and then per what the doctors and the nurses have told me, my whole gastrointestinal kind of track has all been kind of thrown haywire because of this. So eating food has become kind of a challenge. Uh, so they started me on they started giving me nutrients via IV, and that's at the moment that's where I'm getting a bulk of of the things that my body needs in order to stay strong. I do here and there. I am able here and there to eat certain foods, but it seems like each day is like limiting. Uh, Now up to today, that's kind of where I'm at. Looking forward a little bit, what they tell me is that I'm waiting for engraftment to happen, and engraftment is a process where the stem cells have taken to my bone marrow, they've started to replicate themselves, and eventually at some point they'll start producing my white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. Once they do that, the moment they do that, they've engrafted. And everything that I'm getting from since the stem cell transplant to now, all the bags they're giving me are either one to give me nutrients, two to give me fluids, or three to protect my body against uh, anything that would cause harm to my body in the process of engraftment. Engraftment in individuals who receive an adult transfer take about 10 to 14 days, and I'm not in that category. It takes a little longer because I have stem cells that aren't as mature as an adult because I got the cord bloods. It's going to take probably anywhere from 14 to 21 days for that to happen, and I'm on day 9. Once engraftment happens, whatever day that might be, and I start producing my white blood cells again, the white blood cells will finally start to take care of repairing my taste buds, repairing my gums, repairing my intestinal tract, and my sense of taste, my desire to eat it all that is predicted to come back. So it's just a matter of time, waiting it out and allowing that to happen. I won't lie, it's a little tough because there's so many things I'd love to eat because I still get kind of the hunger sensations, even though I'm getting the nutrients I need, but it's become very difficult to eat. But nevertheless, I don't want to be all gloomy about it. It's what I'm dealing with. It's what I'll have to deal with for the next week or so, and then I'll move on. And this is all part of the recovery. It's all, I'm at the lowest point I'm going to hopefully ever be with this whole thing, and now it's just about building strength. So that's what I'm keeping in my mind. A couple of things I want to do. I'd like to just, again, I'm saying this constantly, but thank you so much. I've received a ton of cards in the mail. Every Saturday I've had someone visit the hospital so far, and I'm very, very thankful for that because right now I'm kind of in an isolation situation. I've been limited to my room, and sorry, someone came in, so I paused the video, so it might sound a little weird when I put it together. But at any rate, what was I saying? No, my spirits are high. I'm going through the lowest point that I'm going through right now, or that I'll ever go through with this whole process. So I'm telling myself that. Oh, I was saying thank you. Yeah, I've received a bunch of cards, the visitors, the text messages, all those things. I'm very, very appreciative of. They help me like you would not believe. I promise. Yeah, so I think that's kind of it. I'm here. You can see I'm upright. I'm sitting up. No big deal. Each day it's gotten a little better. Today I was able to get back to a half mile with the walking. So I'm hopeful that tomorrow I'll be able to go a little more, and then a little more, and then eventually within the next week, I'm hopeful I'll be able to get my blood count started. One of the things they do from day 7 on is they give me a shot in the arm. You can't, I guess there's like a little bruise there. A shot in the arm of, and I forget the name, it starts with an N. It's not Neulasta, but it's another one. It's supposed to, it's basically, the nurse described it as steroids for stem cells. So right now, my bone marrow has stem cells, and we're trying to get a lot more of those stem cells. And once I get a lot more of those stem cells, they'll start to develop a little bit more, and then they'll start producing the blood cells, and then this whole process will be, exponential once it gets going. It's just right now everything is just basically almost at zero, if not zero. So I'm just waiting for that to happen. Once that happens, just drastic change in like a couple days. So that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm looking forward to. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it, and that's my update. All right, I'll see you guys. Thanks again. Love you and miss. I love and miss everybody. Just so you know that. All right, take care. Bye bye.